Hi, Binary Viking here, and I'm back with another C# tutorial. So last episode we covered a bit about loops and properties as well as exceptions. And in this episode I will talk a bit about collections or arrays in this one particular. So arrays is pretty much a list of items, and the way you use arrays is to define it with brackets like this, square brackets. And what you will do is you will say that new person, in this case, actually I should change it to persons like this. So now it's multiple persons, so it's a collection, and we will say new person array. And what we will do is to make new persons inside this array, like so. We change a bit up here. So what we do is, as said, we make a person array. So this is on our own type we have right here. We could as well do it on simple types as strings, for instance. We could do a string array like this, equal strings, something like this. This works, of course, as well, if I type it correctly. There we go. So we have a string array here with strings. So now we in here say that we want a new person array. And remember from the last one, we in most cases we always need to define that it's a new object we're working with. So, and that's the same with, in this cases, arrays. It's not the same if it was just a string, because a string like so is a basic type which is already written in. If you are confused about it, remember, I don't know if it is like this in Mono, I'm sorry if it's not, but in Visual Studio, everything that is this cyan blue color is objects, and most of the time new needs the new keyword. If it does not have the new keyword, it will be a null value. Same goes for arrays. Arrays will always also be null if it's not defined as a new array. So the same, that actually goes for string up here, so we should actually say new string array, like so, to actually have it working. And we also need to, in this case, define the size. There's two ways of doing it. We either define the size like so. So now we have an array with 10 spaces, or we do like this and define whatever should be in the array in here. So like so. And let's make some keyboard smash here. Oops. Like so. So now this is an array of 3 strings. Okay, so the next thing is to see down here. We actually don't really need this one. I'll just leave it there for the sake of it. I should probably delete this and just, let's say, 10. So this is one way of doing it. Oh, sorry, it needs static in front of it, but only because we are working with it inside another static method. And I will talk more about that soon. So in here we could, for instance, say we want one more person. We can now say person, I don't even know, it could be keyboard smash, keyboard smash, and it's a heavy guy and it's a tall guy as well, like so. We now have two persons, people in our person array. And I know it's not persons, it's people, but I don't really care at this point. Alternatively, if we were to define the size as we do with the strings up there, we can alternatively say strings and access it like this, and say it should be equal some other keyboard smash. So now the index 0 will be equal to what is right here. Okay, so next thing is we can also still print from the array. And we can see here that we can take person, in this case persons, and we do need to add an index, and the index is inside the square bracket. So we need persons, square brackets, and the index we want to access it from. And I will delete this one like this. So if I compile it now, we should again see the first one here. Right here. Binary Viking. If I was to change to 1, like so, we can now see it's the other one I have added to the array right here. And we can even see it matches whatever it says up here. It should possibly also be correct what it says on the BMI. But just note the name is the correct one right now. So I showed before that you could change something at the index. You could say persons, not 2 but 1, and say we want a new person. And I will just copy this for the sake of simplicity. So it will be like this. So actually let's just change up the names a bit in here, like this. So if I do like this, we can see that it's again changed to something new in here, but only because we have the correct indexes or indexes. If I, for instance, was to access a index, and now I want to do it outside the try catch because I want to show the error to you. If I was to do it outside here and access an index that is not available, we can see we have index 0 and we have index 1. But I try now to change index 2. It will simply throw an exception index out of range. So when working with arrays, you have a fixed size that cannot be changed. Oh, well, it can be changed, but it does require a lot, well, some work, not a lot of work. You can, for instance, say copy 2, and you can copy everything over in a new array, and thereby make a new array which is bigger and have more space to do whatever you so desire. Up here at strings, we have the same thing. So if I wanted to access index 10 in this case, and that's maybe where you now scratch your head, because this right here is how many indexes there should be. So we want 10 indexes, but the indexes, or indexes, sorry, that's actually the correct word for it, starts at 0 and then count from 0, so it's 0, 1, 2 up to 9 in this case. So if we was to access index 10, we would actually also still get index out of range, because the index value starts at 0. So what now if we want an index or array that is easy to change in size and where we can actually make it bigger on the fly, you may ask? And that is where we have maybe something that I'm really happy for, which is called list. And you will need to add this one up here in the using system collections generic. You can go with just collection. I think it's array list, but I will in this tutorial talk about list, as I do personally prefer to use list over array list. So what you want to do is to say list person, like so, persons. I should probably still change that to people, but it's too lazy. So here we say new list of person. And we can see here again, we can add it right to it at the time of creation. But now here's the smart thing. We can say we want to add a new person. So what we do is we make a parentheses where we have a new person. So now we have added this one successfully to the list. And now instead of accessing it through indexes or indexes, we will go down here and use the for each loop I talked about last episode. What we want to do now is to say for each person, my chair's messing up. Person, let's say person inside or in persons. We now here have an other loop, and what we can do here is pretty much, like that. Say we want to print everything out, every person that is inside persons. And what we want to use is person. This right here is the value you will work with inside this loop. And it will loop through this loop for every single person that is inside persons. Remember, this is a collection where there's multiple persons inside. So you can say person.getFullName, person.bmi. So if I start this one, it should print out all three names. The first one here, which is predefined when we construct or make the new list. And then the last one, which is added right after we have made it. We just say add, and then we do the loop through everything. I can click and it will shut down. That's pretty much the way for each loop. It will, for each work, it will loop through every single object which is inside a collection of any sorts. And collection is pretty much everything that can hold more than one object. We could even make a for each on, stupid chair, on the string array up there, because arrays is pretty much a what's called a collection as well. So we can say like this in strings, like this. I will again loop through every single string, but because there is no string in here, we will of course get nothing out of it. I may want to add that you cannot change or remove anything while running a for each. The list you are going through, or the collection you are going through, cannot be changed while you are inside a for each loop. So if I was to change let's say remove something from strings, or add something to strings, or change, if I'm correct, anything inside strings, I do actually think you can change it, but you can't remove or add to the collection at runtime. In this case, it will probably be persons. If you do that, you might run into an exception. So just warning you about that, do not do that. If you want to do that, you should use a for loop instead, as that is more or better designed to actually change anything that might be inside the list at runtime. So there is of course a lot of other types of collections. There is, for instance, dictionary. It's actually a key value pair. So you have two things in it. You have a key and a value. Sorted dictionary, you have the array list I talked about. Oh yeah, right. You have that in collections, array list. You have a sorted list, sorted set, and so on. You have a lot of different to work with. I will consider or advise you to look up collections on the internet to look up which to use when. For instance, list is pretty much general purpose. It's good all around, but let's say you want a list where you can, or a collection where you can look it up very fast, but you don't add anything to it or remove anything from it. I do believe you should use sorted list for that, or maybe it's even linked list if I'm correct. I can't entirely remember it, but you have linked list here. And every list have a different runtime, and it sometimes may find a value faster. Other may remove or add values faster. But remember, for general purpose, if it's not too important how fast it should be, list is overall the best solution to go with, unless you really need the fastest possible execution time. So I think that is pretty much it for this tutorial. If there's any question, please feel free to tell me in the comment section. I will try to answer them as fast as possible. You should right now try to play around with list and collections, maybe do something with adding, removing, sorting, all this fun stuff. You even have sort here, for instance. You also have, if I can find it, oh yeah, right, it's actually another, when working with list, that's an extra little thing I will fast through in here. Use link, this one right here, it's a extension to most collections that does add some methods. We can see here a lot of new methods is here. And what it pretty much does is adding some new sort of methods. For instance, order by, select. It's kind of like database like things where union all this. If you have ever worked with databases, you pretty much know what all this is about. If you have never worked with databases before, just try to hover over and see what it says. Normally, if you have any sort of IDEs, you can see what it's pretty much what every method do or what it's about. So yeah, you can use that pretty well like this. Count, for instance, here returns a number that represents how many elements is in a specific sequence, satisfies a condition, so on. So yeah, play around with it, try out some different things. You may decide yourself if you want to use link. It's just a extra thing that can help out a lot. But yeah, for now, this is what I have. So thank you very much for watching. As always, take care and take it easy. Happy coding.